Welcome to the Bro Country Podcast. My name is Joey, and I'm joined by my co-host.
It's Chris here. How's it going, Joey?
Hey man, it's going good over here on my end. What about yourself?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Just been relaxing today and listening to some music.
Yeah, I feel you. It's a nice weekend, man, over here in Ohio, where I'm at. We had some good weather. There's a little bit of rain, but not too bad, and
Yeah,
just kind of hung out around the house, enjoying a couple days off
absolutely.
work.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah,
Just
so
excited to talk some country music again with you.
that's right. And welcome back to our second episode, guys. On this episode, we're going to just do our little news out of Nashville segment, talk to you guys about some of our first concerts that we remember going to and just kind of what got us into country music, touch on the radio charts and a few things like that. So let's go ahead and roll into this and what's going on in Nashville, man. Let's get that news out of Nashville segment going.
Absolutely. I know you had somebody you definitely wanted to talk about because it kind of reminds us of a little bit of a story about one of our favorite artists there.
Yep. So that was about Priscilla Block. She's an up and coming artist that actually just signed with Universal Music Group out of Nashville, and I'm sure you've heard of her, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So she's Priscilla blew up on TikTok. She's been putting music out for a while, and she moved to Nashville actually like right out of high school from North Carolina, and
I didn't know she was from North Carolina.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yep, from North Carolina. Moved to Nashville, and I read that she was just doing some like side job type work, like working at restaurants or something of that nature, just to kind of get by. And on TikTok, she sang a song that she actually wrote with Sarah Jones and Emily Kroll. Please forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's called "Just About Over You," and she teased it on TikTok, and it like blew up and like her TikTok audience wanted it so bad they wanted to be able to stream it on their favorite platforms, Spotify,
Yeah,
Apple
absolutely.
Music,
Yeah,
and it's crazy because her fans on TikTok helped fund the recording of the song, and she put it out independently. And it was just a smash. I think it was like number one overall genre on iTunes, all genre on iTunes within like so many hours of being put out and everything.
yeah,
And
absolutely. Yeah, I
so
had I had never heard of her before, and I've been in a habit for oh gosh 20 years probably. Every week still, I check the iTunes charts, and I popped on there one day and it said Priscilla Block, "Just About Over You" was the number one song all genre, and
hmm
I didn't even know it was a country song. So then I went to the country chart, and it was the number one country song. So that immediately perks your interest up. So I went over and listened to it, and I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And I noticed she was on an independent label, and it's always pretty impressive when people can put good music together before they're signed. But I mean, that was kind of the introduction that I knew of her. And then, like you said, I saw the story. What was it? Probably I don't know, a
two and a
month
half
ago,
months
maybe a
ago,
couple
or
of months
oh,
ago,
when
when
you
she
mean
signed.
when she signed, that was
Yeah,
like a month or so ago, I want to
yeah,
say, when she actually signed. But what's crazy is she actually is just now hitting country radio. I think I just saw that like within the last 2 days, 2 or 3 days, that they did a radio edit for the song and it's out there. So
it's pretty awesome.
within
Yeah, I
what
mean,
two and a half months of uploading a 30-second clip on TikTok, and now she's on country radio, signed to a major label.
yeah, she's got almost a half a million Spotify monthly accounts that stream her music, and it looks like that the song's already got over 4 million streams. And like you said, the vast majority of that's probably before she was ever even signed, and obviously that's the reason one of the reasons that she got signed is just the power of TikTok and social media and her fans, and I mean that's such a cool story.
Which I found her on TikTok. If you guys listened to our last episode, I kind of stumbled on TikTok this quarantine thing, and she popped up on my For You page covering a like Morgan Wallen or Luke Combs song. I can't remember. She was covering. She's done both, but and I was like, dang, she's pretty good. And I followed her, so I kind of watched her journey over the last few months of doing all this. I'm like, this is so cool. And she's put out other songs like Thick Thighs, PMS, and a couple others, and they're kind of catchy, fun tunes and everything. But this was more of a serious song for her. I felt like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I enjoy it though. She's awesome. If you guys haven't heard of Priscilla Block, go check her out. Go stream Just About Over You. Really good song.
Yeah, it's pretty uncanny how close of a story that is to the way that Luke Combs was discovered, and how his fans really drove Nashville to pay attention and drove Nashville to sign him to a major label. She's really kind of following that same path, which obviously, it works if your fans are
Yeah.
behind you like that. So
Yeah,
it's
if you
going to be
can.
really cool to watch where she goes from here.
Yeah, I'm excited. She seems like such a sweet person too. Just following her on social media, and she's funny, and she has a good personality, and I think she'll be great, and can't wait to hear it on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, it's she's she's right at that point too, that if things were normal, she would be playing some of the smaller venues around, probably where you guys are, and maybe even close to where I am, and we'd be able to go see her live before she blows up, because I'm afraid that by the time we get to see her, she's going to be so big that
Hard to get tickets.
it'll be hard to get tickets. Absolutely.
You always find a way to get tickets to my man. You always find a way. I don't know how you do it, man, but you do.
That's
But
where
yeah.
where there's a will, there's a way, Joey. I'm if there's a show that I want to go to, I'm gonna find tickets one way or the other.
I know that's right, man. My laptop and phone always crash when I get on hours before pre-sales, and I'm like, ready to rock in the waiting room, which I hate how Ticketmaster does that now. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
but then I'll text you like, oh man, I didn't get any. And you're like, oh, I got four in the third row back, or I'm exaggerating, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
don't jinx us. Don't jinx
Yeah,
us.
yeah. But what else is going on in Nashville, man? What's up with the charts this week?
Well, the number one chart, or number one song at radio this week, is Lee Bryce, one of them girls. It's actually the second straight week it's been number one, and looks like it's got a really good shot to hold on for a third week. The new charts always post on Monday, and it looks like it's got a really good shot to hold on for a third week. And before that, Luke Combs' "Lovin' on You" was number one on radio for 4 weeks. So it's kind of been two songs that have dominated at radio the last month and a half, 2 months. And the number one album in country this week was "My Gift" by Carrie Underwood. It's her first Christmas collection, which, I would say that out of everybody in music, she was probably the one artist that people were most excited to put out a Christmas album. I mean, Carrie's got one of, if not the best voices, definitely in music right now, but maybe of all time. And Carrie is she's always proclaimed her faith and love for Christmas music, and for she's just always had her religion as something that she's taken pride in. And she's released Christmas songs before, but she's never released a Christmas album. And so yeah, even though it's only early October, the number one album in Nashville right now is Carrie's "My Gift."
And that's awesome. And as you mentioned, one of the best voices of all time. I think that album shooting number one is a testament of how many fans she has and how much people just love her voice and music, for it to be October and a Christmas album to be sitting at number one on the charts.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Didn't wait till the holiday season to crank it up. They're listening to it now. So.
Yeah, I mean, most people when they listen to Christmas music puts them in a good mood. So with everything that's going on right now, getting a little bit of holiday cheer early is probably not a bad thing.
Yeah, and that Lee Bryce song is really good. I'm glad to see him at number one, and of course, everybody knows we love seeing Luke at number one. So
Yeah, Lee's been around for a long time now, and he's kind of had a steady career where he just keeps having these like his songs don't fly up the charts, but he just keeps having these really strong, steady radio runs, and he's just built such a solid career. He's I think he's written every single that he's written or co-written, every single that he's released. He got his big break when he wrote "More Than a Memory" for Garth, I think back in '06 or '07. So he's been around for a long time.
yeah, and just a steady, like you said, a steady career, and he doesn't jump to number one, but it's a slow and steady climb when he gets there, and it's very well deserved. I love Lee Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ever seen him live?
I have not seen Lee live that I can remember. He came to Charleston a couple years ago, but I think I was actually out of town seeing Chris Stapleton that week. So I missed. He came to Charleston with Randy Houser, but
Nice.
we weren't able to go, which was disappointing. What about you? Have you ever seen him?
Yeah, I saw him with Luke Bryan actually a few years back. He was one of the openers for Luke Bryan, and they came out and did a couple songs together, and he is phenomenal live, dude. So good. Such a
Oh
powerful
yeah.
voice, and speaking of Randy Houser, I saw Garth a few years back, and he was like a surprise opening act. Randy Houser popped out and did an acoustic set.
Really? Was that in Cincinnati?
Yeah, that was the Cincinnati show he did, God, almost 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now. It was like January of 2018, I want to say.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
Garth.
Randy Houser
He
just
always
popped
has like
out.
random openers. I think when we saw him in Pittsburgh, Midland was the opener, and they didn't even they almost never announce until like that day or the day before who the opener is going to be for Garth,
Oh
and it
yeah,
was just like they just came out and there they were playing for 80,000 people at Heinz Field.
yeah. I had no idea he was even going to have an opener because the last I'd heard it was him and Trisha was supposed to be there, but she was sick, so she didn't get to perform that night. But so it was just gonna be Garth, and then Randy Houser popped out with his guitar and crushed. I love Randy Houser too,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a great one.
for sure. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so I think that wraps up our news out of Nashville for this week's segment. Let's go on and let's talk about our first concerts we remember going to, man. What do you remember as a kid, and or whatever age you were that got you into country music, and what were some of your first live shows you remember seeing?
Well, my family talks about all the shows that they went to that they tell me that I was there, but I can't really can't really remember. We live about an hour and a half, 2 hours from our state fair, and every year for 50, 60 years, the whole week is nothing but it's a 9-day state fair, and just like most state fairs, it's nothing but live music in the evenings. And I remember the first one that I can vividly remember going to was Vince Gill. But the best story in my family, which is a story that gets told all the time, is that probably when I was 4 or 5, the very first concert that they ever took me to was a George Jones show at the state fair, and he was he was so drunk or something was going on with him that he literally sang "White Lightning" for the entire concert.
Oh
Which
my
I think
gosh.
in those days was probably a pretty common instance for the possum. But
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but it's just such an awesome, vivid story in our family that I kind of feel like I remember it. But it's just funny to be able to say that the very first concert that my family took me to was a George Jones concert, and that he was so out of it that he sang "White Lightning" for the entire show, and that they had to come out on the stage, escort him off the stage, and that
Oh,
was the end of it. I'm sure at the time everybody was furious, but man, that is such an awesome story to be able to tell people.
yeah. That's awesome. Are there any pictures anywhere, like family photo albums or anything that of you
There
being there?
that well now that we're talking about it, I'm gonna spend the next week trying to find some pictures because I'm sure there are pictures laying around somewhere. My family always had a camera somewhere around.
Yeah,
But yeah, the first one that I can remember going to was a Vince Gill show.
that's
I was
awesome.
probably, I don't know, 6 or 7, but I do have some really cool memories from that night, and that's probably one reason why Vince has always stayed one of my favorites all these years.
Yeah, yeah, Vince is awesome. I saw him at the Opry last year for Luke's induction.
Oh,
So
that's
that
right.
that was actually my
That
first
is
time
right.
seeing Vince Gill live, and he still is so dang good, dude.
Yeah,
Voice of an
absolutely.
angel. Voice of an angel.
Yeah, we've seen. Other than Luke and Garth, I think Vince is probably the next one that I've seen live the most over the years since I was 7 until today. I've seen him just. It seems like every couple of years an opportunity has popped up for me to be able to see Vince. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
nothing to complain about, that's for sure.
What about you? What are some of the first ones you can remember going to, Joey?
Yeah, so I just remember growing up with country music always being on at the house. My
Yeah,
grandma loved
absolutely.
Garth, Brooks and Dunn, that whole '90s era. Vince Gill, she loved Vince Gill. My grandma used to actually book like local artists for some of the like clubs and bars around where we live. So she would work for them and do bookings for like country bands and artists and things. So I was kind of always into country music and the first show I remember going to, man, I wasn't that young. I was like 11 years old. So this was going back to like 2002 or 3. 2003. It was August 9th, 2003. Um, this local radio station, K99.1 FM, used to do this like country music festival. It was called A Day in the Country. Did you ever hear about that?
I did
They
not.
recently
No.
just did it actually. It was like a 20. Don't quote me on this. I think it was like a 25-year birthday for the radio stations. They did A Day in the Country just this last year, and Jake Owen was a headliner. But you had to buy tickets. It was I don't remember the price, maybe $50 a ticket or something. But
Yeah.
back in the day, you actually could call in advance, and I remember doing this actually as a kid. I would get in the phone book and look up I think it was K99 you had to call, and you could like
That's
claim
cool.
tickets, right?
Yeah.
So I'd get in the phone book. I'm a little kid, get in the phone book, finding this phone number to the radio station to claim tickets for my brother, my grandma, my grandpa, and I to go see these artists at it's like a big festival, Day in the Country, right?
Yeah.
It was up in Dayton, Ohio, and you could wait until the day of the event, but if you did, it was $10 at the door. That was it, $10. But we got ours free and they mailed them to us or whatever. And I actually still have the ticket stub of the first one we went to. And
Who wasn't?
there was a few artists there. Chad Brock was there.
Oh yeah.
You know him. She
Oh
Said
yeah.
Yes is one of his top songs. And Daryl Singletary was there.
Oh, Daryl Singletary was awesome.
I Let Her Lie. If you guys haven't heard of Daryl, he's a legend.
Too much fun. I Let
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
Lie.
Amen. Kind of Love. Rhett Adkins was there. Jimmy Wayne, and then Trace Adkins was also there that day.
Oh man.
So
That's
it
a
was
sweet lineup right
for
there.
free, man, for free. So that was a solid lineup. They did meet and greets after too, like after their sets, just kind of like most artists do, especially the up and coming artists. But Trace Adkins, the line to get to meet him was, oh my God, it was so long that we didn't want to wait in it. But we met Jimmy Wayne and Chad Brock, and again, we were little. We were like, my brother was 10, I was 11, and my grandparents bought us these cowboy hats at the show because they,
Oh,
they
I
had
know
like
you
those.
got. I know you got a picture of that.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that one will make the Facebook group or not. But hey, if you guys would love some great camaraderie and community, join our Facebook group. Just search Bro Country Podcast.
Absolutely.
You can also join our Facebook page or like our Facebook page. We'd appreciate that, and you can stay up to date on content that we'll be coming out with. But yes, I do have pictures of that. Actually, I do. And Jimmy Wayne and Chad Brock actually signed the hat, and my grandpa still has the hat out at his house. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. So that was the Vince concert was the first concert that I can remember. But the first, so here in Charleston we don't have professional sports teams or anything like that, but we do have probably the second biggest arena in the state, and it holds 12,000 people. So we do from time to time get pretty big acts, and I think I was 10 or 11 probably. I think maybe 11. My cousin, who's 8-9 years older than me, who is the number one biggest music fan that I know in my life, and probably the number one reason why I love music so much. He took me to my first like arena big show, and that's the moment really where I probably have loved country music since that day and loved going to music since that day. And it was Faith Hill had just came out, and so she was the opener, and we were way up in the rafters. But I have this vivid memory that she had this blouse on, and it tore while she was performing.
Oh.
And somebody in the front stage handed her a leather jacket, and she performed the rest of her show with this leather jacket on. I don't know why I can remember that so well. And then the
cool.
middle act was Aaron Tippin, back when
Oh, yeah.
Tippin was he was cranking out some big hits at that time. And I remember they rolled him out on the stage in like a coffin, or it was some sort of, it was like a stand-up coffin, and they opened up the coffin, and he came out and he performed a cover of it was a Hank Williams song, but I can't remember which Hank Williams song it was. I just remember my cousin telling me, because I probably wouldn't have known at the time that it was a Hank song.
Yeah.
And then the closer was Brooks and Dunn, and it was right after Brooks and Dunn had, I think their second album had just came out, and my dad had bought me the first album on cassette, and it's to this day, of course, I mean, obviously we don't listen to cassettes anymore, but to this day, it's the only cassette that I ever wore out, was the first debut Brand New Man cassette from Brooks and Dunn, and since that day, there's not been a time where I didn't want to go see, music, especially country music, and wasn't looking forward to my next show. So that,
Yeah.
like I said, probably 11 or 12. And that was that from that moment on, I've been hooked. So 20, 25, 30 years I've been hooked going to music.
That's an awesome story, man. And
Yeah.
that A Day in the Country, the festival that they used to do regularly, they did it every year. I saw Aaron Tippin there one year, actually.
Oh, did you? That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah, he was, like you said, he was cranking out hits back then. But that, even then, actually, he was still pretty relevant. But we did that a few years, and then I just remember when I was like 17, 18, just started going to concerts, that I wanted to go to without the supervision of our grandparents. So the first one I really went to without like adult supervision was Tim McGraw and Lady A, and it was at Riverbend in Cincinnati, and that was just such an experience. That was one of the best shows I've ever seen, and got
Yeah,
countless
for sure.
concerts since then, man.
Do you? I mean, I'm not sure if people understand. I mean, some people would, but I don't think. I'm not sure everybody would understand how much we love live music and how many shows we've gone to and how many shows we would go to if we could. I mean, it's concerts even before this shutdown and us not being able to go to a show. I've always known that concerts were not only one of my favorite things to do, but one of the number one stress relievers and just like the joy of being at a show where the people that the sense of community at a country show is hard to describe if you haven't been to it and if you don't love that experience. Wouldn't you agree, Joey?
Oh my God, yeah, dude. Those are your people. When you're out of the live show, it doesn't matter if you're in the nosebleeds, the back of the lawn, in the pit, front row, side stage. Everybody's there for one reason. You've worked your ass off all week long. You've probably bought these tickets months in advance. You've been looking forward to this, and the night comes or the afternoon comes, and you get to just let all those stresses out that you've been dealing with and had bottled up, and just enjoy 2 to 4 hours of, like you said, stress relief and joy and being with the people that love the same things you do, and having a couple beers, letting loose, and just screaming your favorite lyrics. So that you really can't put it into words. And yeah, I mean, it's become a normal part of my wife's life is to every year plan what shows we're going to, where we're going to travel to, what artists
Yeah,
we
I mean,
want to see.
we're not talking about just going to shows for Joey in Cincinnati or me here in Charleston. I mean,
We travel.
we've gone to the ends of the earth to see some people for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I live in a little north of Cincinnati, Ohio, and I've been to Atlanta, Georgia, Nashville a few times, Indiana. I mean, all over Ohio.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, me too, man.
that experience is
Do
unlike
you
anything
get
else.
people asking you, like, some people you've seen, me too, 5, 6, 10, 12 times. I mean, are people shocked whenever you tell them, oh, I'm getting ready to go see Eric Church again, or I'm getting ready to go see Garth or Luke again? I mean, some people will look at me like you've already done that, and not only have you done it, but you've done it recently. Why are you doing that again, or why what do you get out of seeing these people over and over? Do you ever
Oh
get
yeah.
people that have asked you that?
Oh yeah, especially like our favorites, and you and I share similar favorite artists like Luke Combs, Eric Church, Jason Aldean, those kind of guys. I mean, I've seen them so many times, especially Luke, and people will just look at me like I'm crazy and shake their head and kind of make jokes about it, and I'm like, you just don't get it. And I always tell people like everybody's got their thing, whether it's collecting books, going to concerts, playing video games, going to the bar, arts and crafts. Everybody's got their hobby and like their niche and their thing that they like, riding dirt bikes, whatever. Well, going to live events where I can hear country music is my thing.
Yeah,
That's what I
absolutely, man.
enjoy. And people don't get it. Like, well, how do you got the money to do that? And I'm like, it doesn't take a lot of money if you're smart and you get the pre-sale codes and you do it the right way and don't wait for ticket scalpers. You can travel and do shows pretty cheap.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I mean, people are going to sacrifice and spend the money on stuff that they want to spend money on, and we want to spend money on country concerts.
And
So,
I've always found that to be
you know,
such a rude question too when
yeah,
you're, like traveling to shows or whatever. It really doesn't matter how I can afford it. Like it's, you know, how do you afford what you have? You go to work. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You budget for the things that you
Exactly.
want to do and want to buy. And yeah, so I've definitely got some crazy looks and questions. And even at concerts, even like when we went to Flanagan's last year to see Luke at that acoustic show, I was in line waiting to go through the metal detector, and I was talking to these people, and I forget what number. I think it was like number 9 or 10 or something for Luke of shows I've been to, and they're like, "Oh, have you seen Luke before?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, this is like my ninth or 10th time." And their eyes just like popping out of their head. They're like, "What?" They're like he's good, but why so many? And they were like, well, and then they thought about it, like, well, I guess if we could, we probably would have too. And I was like, wait, because they hadn't seen him yet. And I'm like, wait till this show is over, and you'll know why.
Right.
I've seen this guy
Exactly.
so many times, and I never saw him again. So if they ever hear this podcast, I hope that they've seen Luke more than once, because I can guarantee they've seen him more. If they went last year, anyways, because 2020 sucks, and we've had no real live music except for what February was when it all kind of ended.
Yeah, we both saw Luke on Valentine's Day in Lexington,
Yeah,
and
that
then
was
I
my
saw a
last.
couple shows after that, but nothing since early March.
That was my last official like big live show was Luke on Valentine's Day this year, which was a
It's pretty
hell of a
crazy, man.
show. You got Drew Parker opening, Ashley McBride opening, Luke Combs, and I just love that those three are like all friends too, and Luke's friends with both of them. And I talked about Drew on episode 1 and how he's my favorite up and coming artist, and Ashley
Yeah, I
McBride
think
is
we'll be
top
spending some
notch.
time on Ashley because she's pretty badass too.
Oh my God, Ashley is so damn good, and um, I mean that was just a good lineup, and I'm thankful that that was the last official live show that I got to see. Until I just went out to a small local brewery, and Dan Alley and his sister Heather Alley were playing that, and Dan is like super up and coming, so he's not really known. I mean, he lives in Nashville and he's got a publishing deal and everything. But if you guys have not heard of Dan and Heather Alley, check them out. Dan has a song on Spotify and Apple Music, all major platforms, called "Come On." He put it out independently, and that kid's radio ready right now. I, I I expect big things for him in the future. So, but that
Yeah,
we saw him 2 weeks ago or so.
you've been on the on his bandwagon since the very beginning. You're like fan number one on Dan. When he's selling out these arenas, you're gonna be getting backstage passes to every show because you've been the number one guy.
We'll see. He's a good kid too, man. He's like 24 years old, 23, 24 years old, and just so humble, such a nice guy. He's from like 20 minutes away from where I live. He grew up a little north of where I'm at, up near like Dayton, Ohio, and just a good old boy, with a good voice, can play guitar, and his sister's got some amazing vocals as well. So they were,
Yeah,
and again, they were both
we will
together.
definitely link some videos of Dan and Priscilla, and probably every week some of the stuff that we talk about. We'll put some videos of the stuff up on our socials so that people have an easy way to access some of the music that we're talking about here.
Yeah, we'll definitely be dropping that in our Facebook group and Facebook page. So you guys definitely need to go check that out to stay up to date. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Bro Country Podcast, and then you can actually follow us on Instagram as well. It's just at Bro Country Podcast. And Chris actually got us a Twitter going here the other day, so you can follow us there at Bro Country Pod. So
Yep,
definitely go subscribe.
absolutely. Let's see what else. What else we got, Joey? New singles this week. Luke Bryan announced "Down to One" as his next single. I know it's probably one of my favorites from the new album. I was expecting "Build Me a Daddy" to be the next single, or
Mm-hmm.
"Born Here, Live Here, Die Here," but I
Mm-hmm.
think "Down to One" it's going to be a hit for sure. The way he's releasing stuff right now, it's definitely going to be a hit.
I agree. I love that song. I will be honest. In today's world of streaming, I didn't expect Luke Bryan to put out an album that only had 10 tracks on it, and like four of them we'd already heard.
Yeah.
That was very surprising to me, and I think we talked about this before. We were both kind of like, "What the hell is he doing?" But I think it was a very well put together album for Luke, and bro country. He's a bro or he's pop country or whatever. But I've always been a fan of Luke Bryan, and I think Down to One's gonna crush it at radio. Luke always kills it at radio though. Luke Bryan.
Yeah, Luke's one of those guys that even before when he was putting 15, 16 songs on albums, you could listen to the whole album and there's no way you could pick what the singles were going to be because every song could be a single. I mean, he's just always had a knack for making songs that were universal and great melodies and ready to be hits. So it's always been hard to know what was going to be a hit for him because they're usually all good cuts.
Oh yeah, and I just looked it up, and he's got 27 number ones.
That's great.
So yeah, he's just always killed it at radio, and probably always will as long as he's putting out music. But yeah, I'm excited for
I
it.
agree. Yeah, I agree. There's a new Justin Moore single from a new project that came out this week. Have you had a chance to listen to it yet?
That's why we drink. Is that
No. I wish. It's called "We Didn't Have Much." It's brand new. Just came out this week.
I didn't even know he dropped a new song this week.
Yeah,
I thought that's why we drink was still his radio.
Yeah.
That's still a radio though, right?
No, it was number one couple
weeks ago,
right before Luke was number one. So he kind of rushed this to radio because I loved "Why We Drink." That was an awesome song.
Very good, I listen to that almost every day. That's actually one of my wife's favorite new songs out right now. But
is it really? Oh, that's awesome, man. Justin's got an awesome country voice. He's right up there with Party and Drew Parker and Cody, with guys that just can kill it with traditional country.
Mm-hmm. And that, I think that's why I like Dan Alley so much, is because he has such a similar voice as Justin Moore, but it's just enough to be his own. It has that traditional sound like Justin, but I'll have to check that out, man. I'm embarrassed to say I haven't heard it. I didn't even know about it.
Oh no! Well, there's a new album from the Brothers Osborne out this week too that I need to dive more into so we can talk about it a little bit, because they're another group that I like quite a bit, but I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole record yet. So probably the next episode we can jump into both of those.
Yeah, which we saw Brothers Osborne last year. They were pretty good.
We did. They were the third act on the Eric Luke show.
Yeah, which we didn't really. We'll do an episode covering that probably, but we you couldn't really understand them though, being in that stadium. The acoustics.
Yeah,
were
stadiums are tricky because they're so big and they're not obviously built for the acoustics of a show, so they're definitely tricky.
They were good though.
I've had
they
some different experiences with stadiums before.
Yeah, it just depends on the build of the structure and where it's all that crap. But what's your favorite song out right now at country radio?
Oh man. Well, my favorite song at country radio actually it's falling on the chart this week, which is kind of surprising to me. I love "Cheating Songs" by Midland. I love that song.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it was climbing, and then all of a sudden just stopped in like the mid to late 20s.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's one of those songs that I don't know. I loved it, but it just didn't take off for him for some reson. But I would say
that is hard to believe, because that's a good song.
For this week, I've been jamming to that song for the last couple of weeks, month. It's just I'm loving that song. Mm-hmm. What about you?
I don't listen to a ton of radio because of streaming, and everybody does that nowadays, right? But I follow the charts, and the one that I keep playing since it has dropped, I know it's not like brand spanking new, but "More Than My Hometown" by Morgan Wallen.
Oh, it's such a good one.
I've been playing that over and over and over, and I don't know why. It's just it's good storytelling kind of song, and it's got some fun play with words, like when he says that verse about "Ain't that a map dot shame to think that," he's just, I don't know, it's creative.
Morgan's like the king of like just slightly melancholy, like looking back in your past, like "Chasing You," more than my hometown, "7 Summers," like they're all talking about like, just something that didn't go quite right, and I think we can all relate to that. Yeah, he's killing it right now.
Yeah, he is. I'm excited for his sophomore album, man. I don't know with all the drama that he's been going through when he's going to put it out or not, but I thought you had mentioned something to me in a text a while back that it was coming the next 6 months, supposedly. Is that what you had heard?
Yeah, I mean, when he dropped "More Than My Hometown" as the radio single, he said within the next 6 months. But like you said,
on Twitter, right?
It's hard to tell right now.
Yeah, with him taking that break from the spotlight.
He claims he's recorded enough for a double album. So we'll see how many tracks we get.
Imagine getting a double album, because the rumor is that Church is going to put out a double album with his next project. I've heard that a few times. Don't know if he'll do it, but I know Eric did say that he wants his fans to be, don't quote me exactly, but something like, I want everybody to be able to hear at least each track from this project in one way or another. So I think that's where everybody's getting the double album rumor, and I imagine
Well, and the blue and the red that he keeps alternating on the releases, the artwork, he keeps alternating, which would make you think maybe there's going to be a blue side and a red side. So you never
that
know.
would be sick.
No matter what Eric does, we're going to be there for it. So
Yeah, I don't care if it's
we're
a
ready.
5-song EP. But yeah, but just imagine the next 6 to 12 months getting a double album from Morgan Wallen and Eric Church within that time frame. That'd be sweet.
Absolutely, man.
But
it's going to be good.
Man, it is. I'm excited, man. It's a good time to be a country music fan. You know, Riley Green just recently put out his EP. Did you get a chance to hear that yet?
I did. I love Better Than Me with Randy Owen from Alabama. It's my favorite by far. He released If It Wasn't for Trucks to radio, but Better Than Me is my favorite.
I love that song, Behind the Times.
I don't know if I know that one. I'm gonna go revisit that this week.
Yeah, you'll know it when you hear
on my
it.
homework as soon as we get out of here.
Yeah, man, you'll know it as soon as you hear it. It's I won't spoil it. It's a good song. Go check it out as soon as we get off this episode, man. Log off, go listen to that damn song.
That's right.
But
All
yeah,
right,
man,
we got anything else for this week?
Nah, I think that's gonna be it, man. You got anything?
I think we're good.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 2 of the Bro Country Podcast. Like we mentioned a couple times, go check out our social media. We'd love to have you guys there. And until next time, keep it country and take care of each other.